You can do anything and get away with it. A second and short, they fake the run and isolate Mervyn Fernandez one-on-one on Gerald Best, and that's a tough job. He fakes deep downfield and then comes back on the hook pattern.
And picks up 22 yards. First down, Lions at the Hamilton 23. Cowan now going deep to the end zone for Fernandez. There was contact down there, but no flag is thrown.
Well, Les Brown just made a heck of a job. The referee said he stayed in bounds and picked off that pass intended for Mervyn Fernandez. Nice job by number 15.
Well, we'll take a look at that when we come back. Right now, the Lions are out in front, 35-8, with 1:48 left to play in the third quarter. Vote for Jim Sandusky as the offensive game star. You dial 1-900-720-2661. If you want to vote for Tim Cowan, number 11, it's 2662, and then we go to the defensive stars. And those are the numbers that are up as the nominees for the defensive game stars tonight. There's a 50-cent service charge. We'll record your vote and make the selections according to how you feel the game has gone. First downs in the ball game, 26 for BC, 2 for Hamilton. But the Ticats will try to get something going right here from their 25-yard line after the pass interception by Les Brown. They swing it out to Derek Peels. And Peels fights his way across the 30 to the 31-yard line for a pickup of 6. Second down, 4 yards to go for the Ticats, who, believe it or not, led this game at one time, 7-0. Then the BC Lions rattled off 35 straight points. Hedford's pass will be ruled a completion because Scott Colley was interfered with by Wendell Williams, number 17, who came over the back.
I think there's no question about this one. Scott
Forward
Colley,
pass interference. BC number 17, first down.
running the hook pattern as he works back to the quarterback. Wendell Williams comes right over the top, makes contact before the ball arrives. And interesting story, Wendell Williams from Fresno State, his buddy in the backfield there, Keith Gooch from Fresno State, and the guy that just threw that pass, Jeff Tedford from Fresno State. So he's going against a couple of old teammates.
And not having much success doing so. Tedford's pass for Scott Colley again. He makes the catch. And then Darnell Clash was able to hang on and force him out of bounds at the 50-yard line for a 15-yard pickup and another Hamilton first down. All of this coming in the final 30 seconds of this third quarter.
Good move to the inside by Scott Colley. Gets Darnell Clash turned around, and nice delivery, Jeff Tedford.
You know, it's funny, this game of football, though. I was watching the shot of Jackie Parker on the sidelines last night when the Edmonton Eskimos appeared to have lost the ball game. The Argos were taking over, and Jack looked so down, and then a few seconds later, when Conrad Holloway was hit and the ball came loose, Edmonton fell on it for the go-ahead touchdown. They won the game. Jack all of a sudden changed his expression.
Well, I guess so.
But that's football is like life, isn't it? You never know when it's going to turn on you.
He's still one of the more casual head coaches in the sidelines, I find, though. Don't you think so?
I think so, Bill. I agree with you. His emotions are pretty well controlled last night. He could have really been jumping up and down, but he kept his composure, and they kind of snuck in and won that game.
But you know what was good? They ran the football well. That's what impressed me. I thought it was they had a good mix of running and passing, just as Montreal had in the opening game.
Well, I've always known that Milson Jones was a good runner, and he's getting a chance, it looks like, to alternate with Neil Lumsden, and he made the most of his opportunities last night, ran the draw play for a touchdown, and of course, those kids in Montreal, I was impressed with Tony Johns, that newcomer in Montreal, who ran the ball late in the fourth quarter. He's from Henderson State down in Arkansas, a first-round draft choice of Montreal, and that's, of course, why they were able to release Denny Ferdinand or trade him.
It's sometimes easier to run late in the fourth quarter than it is in the first. Tomorrow afternoon at 3:30, Joe Moss and his Ottawa Rough Riders against Jack Goda, Georgie Brancato, and all the fellas out in Saskatchewan against the Western Riders. And that should be a lot of fun out there. We'll have it for you here on CTV starting at 3:30. Frank Rigney and all the boys out in Regina are getting set to bring you that one. And Tedford is dropped right at midfield. There was just no room for him to go, and our friend Mike Gray, who's had such a big ball game, was there to register yet another quarterback sack.
Well, I don't know how the phone calls are going for the defensive player of the game, but I bet you that number for Mike Gray's been ringing more than the other ones because he's really played a good ball game.
Do you think there's a chance that Tim Cowan has had the odd vote or two?
Yeah, I would say so.
Third sack of the ball game for Mike Gray. Well, if I had 50 cents, that's who I'd be phoning him for.
I'll lend it to you.
He wouldn't spend it himself.
Nice to see Dan Matheson's up close and personal look at Mike Gray at halftime, too. And Tedford really had his problems. He tripped over the center as he was backing away, trying to drop back into the pocket. And that happens as the gun sounds to end the third quarter of play with the British Columbia Lions out in front of the Hamilton Tiger Cats 35-8. And we'll be back for a look at the fourth quarter in just a few moments. Sauvé was there to bring him down at the 33-yard line. Let's take a look at those Chevrolet three-quarter statistics once again. I mean, look at the discrepancies, though. 26 first downs for BC, 4 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
You know, Pat, 26 first downs would be a great statistic for 4 quarters, and they've done this after 3.
Boy, look at the passing yards for Cowan, 378. I know they're not all Cowan, but still most of them are.
Well, he's been good on 23 of 30 for 327 yards. This the draw to John Henry White, and this time the Ticats were able to snuff it out back of the line of scrimmage. There to make the stop was number 65, Mitchell Price. Well, what the Ticats have to do now is try to suck it up and keep it as low as they can. 35-8 is the score right now. This is a good opportunity, though, for the Lions to let it all hang out. Cowan was hit just as he was getting ready to throw the ball by Sauvé. David Sauvé has started in various games over the years. He's in there now because of an injury, but let's take a look at that hit by Dave Sauvé.
Well, he's a fourth-year pro from Harvard University, and when he is in the lineup often is when they go to that 3-man defense and they bring Greg Gary off the reserve list to play that extra linebacking spot.
So Louis Pisaglia will be punting for the BC Lions. Derek Peels, number 33, takes it for Hamilton, but only gets to about the 33-yard line, and that's where the Ticats will put it into play when we come back. Lions are comfortably in front by 27 points. They lead it 35-8. We'll be back in a moment. Early tomorrow, 9 o'clock, and watch Kevin Curran and Boris Becker in the Wimbledon Finals. You'll see it on CTV. Kevin Curran is really on a roll, but 17-year-old Boris Becker has really played well. First down, Ticats from their 34-yard line. And Pete Gales is in at quarterback. His handoff goes to Derek Peels. And Peels gets maybe a couple of yards at most. Pete Gales and Jeff Tedford have both been with the Ticats for the last couple of seasons. Tedford had absolutely no success. So now we see Pete Gales. Bill?
I've just got to say, the style of managing and coaching of the head coach of this BC Lion Club, and I speak of Don Matthews, is best shown by his preseason work with the BC team. But I'll talk about that right after this offensive play.
Pete Gales from the University of Ottawa fires, and unfortunately it hit the turf before it got to the intended receiver, Steve Stapler. There is a penalty marker, however, down on the field, and it appears to be holding. Now, who is it against?
Pat, I know you meant the University of Iowa instead of the University of Ottawa.
That's exactly what I meant. The Buckeyes Holding.
Hawkeye.
Hamilton, number 32.
knew it
Declined, third down.
I knew it wasn't the GGs.
Well, Pat, what I was talking about was the fact that most people think preseason games don't mean nothing. At least the results of them don't mean anything. But one of the reasons this BC club always comes in ready to really get rolling is the fact they take the preseason games seriously. Just take a look at the record. Their loss this year, they had a record 3 wins, 1 loss. It was to Winnipeg at BC Place. But the interesting statistic is that is the first preseason loss in 3 years. Now, that is something that Coach Matthews prides himself on, getting his club ready for those preseason games. He likes to win them, and it certainly shows the way this club starts the season.
Well, Bill, I think in a nutshell, it's really the talent that he always has in training camp or on his reserve list. That the competition level in the BC training camps and preseason games is so high that everybody has to really play and give their best.
So Bernie Ruoff is punting again for Hamilton. This is a good one. It sends Sandusky back to his 26. A flag comes down as Sandusky gets to the 38-yard line. And we'll see what the penalty marker is all about.
Illegal block, BC, number 69. First down.
The call is against Jamie Buis, number 69, for an illegal block. And that moves the BC Lions back to their 21.5-yard line, where they will start with 12 minutes left to play in this fourth quarter. Ooh, that one was very nearly picked off. They were trying to set up the screen for John Henry White, but it was snuffed out neatly by Howard Fields. And Fields very nearly came up with the interception.
Well, Ticats finally got a little pressure there on Tim Cowan as well. Mitchell Price was right in his face when he had to deliver that football, and Howard Fields would have liked to have picked it off. Nevertheless, did the next best thing, knock it down. Ryan Potter in the ball game in that running back position, getting a little work, number 33.
As Cowan looks for Ron Robinson, who is wide open, and Robinson steps out of bounds as he gets to the Hamilton 46-yard line.
Well, each time Ron Robinson's been able to get himself isolated on number 20, Mark Streeter, he's had success, caught that touchdown in the first half, and now runs a corner pattern, completely turns Mark Streeter around. Nice, easy, soft toss by Tim Cowan.
Good for 42 yards, his 4th reception of the night, and he has a total of 64 yards and the touchdown that Leaf mentioned.
Cowan's got nice touch on that pass. I mean, he could have tried to drill it in there, but he just laid it out, let him run underneath it, and that's the mark of a veteran quarterback.
And here's the mark of a veteran fullback, John Henry White, who gets inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. And we're going to be in Montreal on Wednesday for a telecast that will feature the Calgary Stampeders against the Concords. That'll only go, unfortunately, to the city of Calgary. But we're looking forward to that one because we want to see Joe Barnes and the new-look Calgary Stampeders in action. And you fans in Montreal, I hope you'll go out because you have a terrific football team there for 1985. Joe Galat, Bob Geary, they've worked so hard over the years, and they deserve everything that's coming their way this year. Cowan's pass again was very nearly snared, this time by Les Brown, as it popped out of the hands of Mervyn Fernandez. And Brown very nearly had himself an interception, and had he been able to pick up the ball, he'd have gone.
Get a low look at that hook pattern by Mervyn Fernandez right through his hands, and Les Brown, had he been able to hang on, would have had clear sailing.
So it'll bring up a 3rd and 5 for BC. And they're going to go for it. Fernandez makes the catch and is forced out by Les Brown at the 33-yard line. Bill?
On the bench with the BC Lions, it's Dennis Javen. He's twisted his knee, and you can see number 67, Javen, they have just put the ice pack on him, and it's a slight twist. He's waving. He says it's not that bad. Okay.
Well, the BC Lions have a lot to be thankful for and happy for tonight because they have played well. And, you know, a lot of people would say, why would they go on 3rd and 5? Obviously, Don Matthews doesn't want to add more points by having Louis Pasaglia come out and possibly kick the field goal. So what are you going to do? You don't kick the field goal, you got to try to make the first down. But it's not a matter that he's trying to rub it in.
Boy, he's excited about his ball club, and rightfully so. Yesterday at the press conference, you could just tell that it wasn't cockiness at all. It was just an air of confidence that he knew that he's got the team that he wants. He's got so many guys available if someone gets hurt. And, of course, look at the job Tim Cowan does. His #1 guy, and he makes no bones about it, is Roy DeWalt. But Roy gets hurt, and Cowan comes in and just does a remarkable job.
And just a reminder that tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 Toronto time, we will have the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Ottawa Roughriders opening both their seasons out at Taylor Field in Regina. Dale Isaac, Frank Rigney, and our old pal will be there, Al McCann. Alphonse looked good last night, I thought. John Henry White was nailed in the backfield by Mitchell Price, so there will be a loss of a few yards.
Speaking of Saskatchewan, we've got the big Saskatchewan player reunion out there Labor Day weekend this year. All the greats from the past, I hope, will be in town. Fortunately, we'll be out broadcasting a game that weekend. I'll be able to reunite myself with George Reed and Ron Lancaster, Ed McQuarters, Jack Avichin, some of the great names from CFL past.
That'll be a great afternoon to be a part of. This is John Henry. A flag comes down as he gets inside the 30, very close to the 26-yard line. He'd be short by a couple of yards of the first down, but let's see what the marker is about. Leo Ezrin says push him back.
Holding, BC number 72. Second down repeated.
The holding call is against Mark DeBreeze, number 72, former Edmonton Eskimo and a former University of Western Ontario star. So that brings up a second and about 27 yards to go for the first down. And Cowan is going to go for all of it to Mervyn Fernandez, and he couldn't get to the ball.
Good coverage. Paul Bennett and Les Brown there. No way that Fernandez was going to be able to catch that football, but when it's 2nd and 23, you might as well let it fly because this guy, more often than not, can come up with a big catch.
If you've just joined us, the Hamilton Ticats jumped out to a 7-0 lead, and then BC rattled off 35 straight points. Currently lead at 35-8. And that's really been indicative of the play as well, because the Hamilton offense just hasn't been able to move the ball. Louis Pasaglia angles it for the sideline, and it'll go out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. 35-8. BC leads Hamilton. We'll be back in a moment. Select the offensive and defensive Carling O'Keefe Game Stars at the conclusion of this ball game. If you think, as some of us do, that Tim Cowan should be the offensive star, dial 1-900-720-2662. Or if you feel that Jim Sandusky is the star, then dial 2661. The Hamilton Ticats, I don't think, are going to figure offensively. There is a 50-cent service charge, and there's the defensive Game Stars now. For BC, Mike Gray, 77, Glenn Jackson, 37, Ben Zambiazzi for Hamilton, 31, Mitchell Price, 65, and there are the phone numbers to call. And Derek Peels slithers his way out to about the 30-yard line for a pickup of a few, about 8 yards. Bernie Gleer, number 7, was there to bring him down, who's moved into a linebacking spot.
Well, Patty, sorry, even though it's apparent that the Ticats are going to lose this football game, I still think it's important for them offensively. If Pete Gales can come in now and take them down on a good march, confidence-wise. It's going to help them. It's going to help them for their game next week out in Winnipeg.
Leaf, you're talking about the next game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Winnipeg. The BC Lions are going to be tested because next Saturday night they're at home in that beautiful BC place to take on the Edmonton Eskimos, who will really be fueled up after that big win over Toronto.
Boy, Matt Dunnigan looked good last night. Had some great receivers to work with. There's Ray Jones, the head trainer of the Ticats, giving John Priestner, number 36, the outside linebacker, a little assistance. It doesn't get any easier for Hamilton after they travel to Winnipeg next week. They come back and entertain the Toronto Argonauts on a Friday night here in Hamilton, so their first 3 games are big tests.
Dave Graffey carried the ball on that previous play, only picked up a yard, so it's 3rd and 1.
Leaf, sorry, Pat. I was just going to say that Ray Jones, the trainer, just said it's only a bruise as far as Priestner's concerned.
Well, this is more than a bruise because the ball was coughed up by Derek Peels, and it was recovered by the BC Lions, who will have possession at the 30-yard line. 35-8 is the score. The Lions lead it. We'll be back to see what they can do offensively in a moment. The 30-yard line. The give is to John Henry White. Leo Ezrins had him momentarily, but then John Henry was able to spin away from him and dive to about the 25-yard line. Ed Gadavekas, number 39, was finally able to drop him. And since he only got to the 26, it's a gain of 4. They've got Fernandez and Robinson to the right side of the formation, but Cowan hands off instead to John Henry White. And he gets to the line of scrimmage not much further, as the Lions apparently are quite content with the margin that they've built up, 35-8.
Yeah, you know what? Even though they're ahead by 35-8, the play selection gets tough for Tim Cowan here because he doesn't really want to stick it to Hamilton at this point. They've got the game won, and so all he can do is just hand off the football here on 3rd down and 7. They're going to gamble again. And
well, let's tell it like it is. The Hamilton Ticats are in for a long, long season. I mean, they don't have anybody who has any experience at quarterback. If you can't move the football, like Mervyn Fernandez and Tim Cowan can, you're in trouble. Fernandez with another touchdown for the BC Lions and a brilliant catch, a 26-yard grab. He just extended himself fully, brought it in, and stepped into the end zone.
well, Nick Volpe will have this for you in a minute on an isolation, but Tim Cowan so calm and cool as he rolls out, and Fernandez, arms extended, makes a great catch, 26 yards in the end zone, and you have to wonder when it's 3rd and 8 and they can take it 26 yards for a touchdown. Little corner pattern, working on Howard Fields, no chance, just pushes off and goes to the corner. Nice throw, nice catch. That's just like doing it in practice.
And Louis Passaglia's point after is good. So with 6 minutes and 3 seconds left to play, it is BC 42, Hamilton 8.
Would you have to say that the DeWalt-Cowan combination is the best duo quarterbacking that we have in the CFL?
Well, you'd have to think that Tom Clements and John Huffnagel certainly represent pretty solid quarterbacking.
Well, they do, and, but the point is that there are very few backup quarterbacks that will move in and do the job that Tim Cowan has tonight. Despite the fact he's doing it against a Hamilton Ticat squad that's having problems, it's still a very good defense, but its problem is it's been on the field too much because of no offense.
Well, that's true, Bill, and I think you're right. It's a great 1-2 combination they do have. But that defense, they've done a lot of running, that secondary tonight. Howard Fields, Gerald Besson, those fellas, they've been out there a long time. There's Howard Fields. He's got to return this kickoff now, too.
They better get used to it because I suspect they're going to be out there for much of the season. Derek Peels has the ball bounce into the end zone, and now he brings it out. And does a pretty respectable job to get it to the 19-yard line.
You know, it's funny you talk about guys getting used to returning a lot of kickoffs and things. I was looking through the new record official manual the CFL put out this week, which is just a fantastic publication. And I saw where I played in a Grey Cup game in 1980 with Hamilton, and I saw Obie Graves set a record for kickoff returns, and I said, yeah, that's because Edmonton scored 48 or 50-odd points. He never would have had his name in the book.
Well, let's see if Pete Gales can move the Ticats at all. Derek Peels takes the handoff and crosses the 20 to the 22. So the clock mercifully is running at 5 minutes and 20 seconds left to play in the ball game. British Columbia 42, Hamilton 8. And they are certainly full value for the discrepancy in the scores. Flag comes down as Gales does as well back at the 16-yard line.
You know, I'd have to think, Pat and Leith, that one of the problems for anybody that's trying to scout the BC Lions here tonight, and I'm sure that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers...
Number 63, declined, third down.
I'm sure the Blue Bombers are watching this one closely, and I'm sure that Edmonton is watching it closely because they take on the Lions Saturday in BC Place. It's, you know, just how good are the Leos or just how bad are the Hamilton Tiger Cats?
Well, I think you've got 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Let me tell you that Fernandez, every receiver eligible to receive a pass has caught one for the BC Lions tonight. Mervyn has 11 for 138. And, of course, that touchdown scored just moments ago. Flag comes down as Jim Sandusky takes the punt to the 43-yard line, but they'll tack on a no-yards penalty as well.
You know, that's a rule I wish they'd really take a look at in the future. Here's a guy coming down on a short punt, and it was Dave Graffey, number 32. He's backpedaling, trying to get back out of the way, and he gets called for no yards. Tough.
Greg Courier, who's a broadcaster with CFRA in Ottawa, had a pretty good suggestion, I think. He said that when it's an unintentional no-yards penalty...
No yards. Hamilton, number 32.
It should only be a 5-yard penalty, and I really think that would be a pretty good idea because it was not an intentional one there. That was just a short kick, and the cover team was caught within it, so I'd like to see a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah,
for
I
that.
agree. That's a good solution.
Well, the Lions just get back to the line of scrimmage, not any further. John Henry White was the ball carrier. John Priestner was there along with Mitchell Price to bring him down. Priestner was an interesting case. You'll remember when he came out of the University of Western Ontario, he went to the Baltimore Colts. And he stayed around for a year and then finally decided to come to Hamilton. This is John Henry again. And he gets to the 30-yard line, which will bring up a third down and about 8.5 yards to go. Leo Ezrins brought him down at that point.
Actually, I think Priestner spent a couple of years in Baltimore. First year he played some special teams, and then the second year on the injured list the whole year. And, boy, you know, I can't blame him. If you got a chance to give it a shot, why not? And he's come back, had a great career in Hamilton, involved in business around the community. Got a nice career going for himself.
Well, the CFL is off to a terrific start. Those first 2 games were just classics.
You know, it looks good, too, in Montreal is that Roy Kurtz is getting a chance to do the place kicking this year. Originally property of the BC Lions, last year came to the Concourse, spent the whole year on injury or 21-day trial. He just kicked his leg out. It went dead on him, but now he's getting his opportunity with Don Sweet playing out his option this year, and looked like he did a great job the other night.
Well, the Concords have really done a terrific job of building up their personnel.